Possible action on recommendations of the Infrastructure Advisory Committee to Valley Mill City Council, documents on closed, cases available by the
Good evening. Included in your packet, you will find the recommendations of the Infrastructure Advisory Committee for the City Council. Stacy Sadler has a limited number of copies available. If anybody would also like a copy of what's included, just raise your hand and she'll be happy to pass that out. Presumably, in preparation for tonight's meeting, you have read the documents provided to you, sparing me the task of reading them aloud. However, I would like to bring forward some additional comments related to each of the recommendations. We actually have cleared up the audit 2021. Congratulations, thank you for that. I'll read my comments just for the audience, just to reiterate a little bit of what Nick had commented in his motion. At the regular meeting on July 12th, Council authorized the City Secretary to send out an RFP to a minimum of 3 auditing firms in the area to perform an audit of the city's financial records for 2021. The procurement of an auditing firm to conduct the 2021 audit and all future audits is crucial and should be considered the top priority for the city. Until a proper audit has been conducted on the city's 2021 financials and the findings have been released, the Infrastructure Advisory Committee is on hold. And that is because we do not qualify for any grant without a proper audit. So I am thankful for the action that was just taken. Thank you. The second recommendation is the airport property. This has been a sensitive topic in the past, but let's be clear about what this recommendation means. This recommendation is simply a housekeeping item to ensure the City of Valley Mills is the sole beneficiary of any potential sale proceedings and control of the use of the land. However, it is not appropriate for the conversations to even begin without council approval and the appointment of trusted individuals to return their opinion to the council along with their recommendation. After I finish with comments, Paul Marable has offered to field any questions that the council may have relative to the airport property recommendation. The last recommendation that the committee has brought forward is a bond issue. And this obviously is the least favorable of the recommendations. However, a necessary step to learn more about planning, developing, and implementing a plan for the long-term sustainability of the city now and in the future. Paul has also agreed to field questions that you might have based on the information that was found in her packet. Any questions? On a discussion, a review, or action, which is listed on the agenda.
So, if I understand, we're applying for a waiver
Yes.
or a release,
He was asking for a waiver.
or a release
Yeah,
of all the restrictions.
yeah, we're asking for permission to go start that process. And there is a process to follow.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that process for us, Paul?
Yeah, it requires, and your city attorney is well aware of the requirements. They're listed in the CFR section that's quoted in there. And it requires a written application explaining why you're making the application, the reason why continuing to have that restriction that it can only be used as an airport is no longer needed or necessary. And that's why Congress instituted this process. So there's airports apparently like this all over the United States. And so that's an orderly way to get them to do it. We have a plan in place that we discussed with your city attorney, getting elected officials involved. Feel very confident that we'll have good success in pushing. So we're asking for authority to do that.
And on the, well, I've got you up here. I appreciate your knowledge. On the bond issue, I've never been involved in the bond. I don't know a whole lot about it. Could you elaborate a little bit on how that would affect the city if you were to go that route with the bond?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else has gone through the bond issue. The only one that I have been involved in was the school bond issue. So if you were involved, and they have seen you shaking your head, it's a very involved process. You do have to get qualified professionals involved. In this case, it would require a bond counsel, and also a financial advisor, and then an underwriter. They work very closely with the infrastructure committee to figure out whether you go out for one single bond or whether you do it in a series to stagger along with your grant receipt. But that's well beyond this conversation, well beyond my knowledge. That's why you have this expert team. But you asked about the impact. I understand that you talking with the mayor that the city anticipates receiving about $250,000 this year in ad valorem taxes, which is a goodly sum. But I looked at the impact if you had a $5 million bond. So those of you who haven't been following this process, GrantWorks has indicated they've worked with the city of Mark, and Mark's condition on their infrastructure, as they say, is similar to what they understand the condition here. And they're saying that the city's portion of match the requirements to get the grants necessary, $1 million, would be between $5 and $7 million. He has no clue at this point. So we're going with what GrantWorks says. So I looked at the interest rate on a 30-year AA, which would be an investment grade bond. And the site I looked at showed an interest rate of 3.84%. All the bonds are all in those fluctuates, but most of them are pretty set. So the way the bond would work, you would take the $5 million and you would multiply it by the 3.84% interest. So that's one amount. But then the city is also required to put in this case, a 30-year bond, about 1/30 of the bond face amount into a sinking fund, so that at the end of the 30-year period, the city has the money to pay off the bond. In the meantime, it's been paying interest. So if you do the mathematical calculation, the interest that would be paid each year is $192,000. Then the sinking fund obligation would be about $167,000. Now, this is Paul Merrill speaking. You had a bond counsel up here, he can tell you a whole lot more about how all that works. Just a simple calculation. That totals $359,500. Collect now $250,000. So to get that additional money, you want to have 160% tax increase rate in the average tax. Then he says, that doesn't seem to be feasible, but it's certainly not our decision to go down that road.
So on a, well, I've got you here. on a tax base, let's say my taxes are $2,000 at 150% increase. You say I'm looking at $5,000 in taxes each year
Just the calculation.
for a bond of this nature.
Yeah. And those bond funds, are earmarked to pay back. Those have their own taxes are earmarked to pay back the bond. That's all part of what the underwriter does.
But why would you get a bond for the whole city and cost instead of doing it a little bit at a time?
Again, Chris, that may be the way it works out. But, let's say you do it in a series of $1 million.
Have you ever thought about if you did sell the land and say all the houses went up there, what it would do to the schools? I mean, wouldn't you have to get a bond there, so it's going to cost you regardless?
Well, it depends on what the developer did. They could set up, a specific.
It might increase the taxes, but it's going to cost you as a homeowner more money because you're going to have a bond for that, correct?
Well, one thing, again, I'm not a bond counsel, but what I have seen.
And I think they're already having problems filling seats at the schools, so.
Over my years, I have seen them put up a municipal utility district. And if you do that, where you have a tax fund that's coming from a certain area, like when they build stadiums, they'll apply a tax to that, get their bonds out, and the tax generated by that facility pays that bond. Municipal utility districts can be set up and the taxes can be identified. I've been told that can be done. So, there's a lot of things that could be done. Plus, the city, if they got the $5 million like the unsolicited offer, that's pretty good money. This council asked us to look at non-tax ways to do this, and so we're leaning this as one of our recommendations.
Paul, I got a question.
Yeah.
Just hypothetically, maybe you know that. Let's say, for instance, we sold the property and you just stepped away. What would be the possibility? We don't put no restriction, let an investor buy it and do whatever he wants to do. We get the money. We get the buy.
If you got, and this is me talking.
Yeah,
Ask the
I mean-
question. If I were making the decision, and we got rid of the use restriction that we have now, and then we talked to the city of Waco, and that's a discussion for another day, but I've got ideas about that too, where we had control over that use. We can sell it with whatever restrictions we want. We can say, no manufactured housing, mobile homes, no, whatever we want to do, no industrial sites. The city has control over that. We own the property. We sell it and put whatever restrictions we want. That would be my recommendation.
But I mean, we're not supplying anything out there. Lynn County,
Again, that's part of negotiating with, as I understand the offer that was presented over here, the $5 million offer. They were going to relieve the city of Valley Mills from any requirement to supply water, sewer, because they were going to take care of their own deal, probably set up the municipal utility district, drill their own water, whatever, sell water equipment. That's all in the negotiation, and that's beyond this discussion, but it's a good question.
So the city is still capable, if we were to sell the property, of having ultimate control, let's say, of what happens within that property.
I don't see any reason why the deed from the city couldn't contain whatever deed restrictions we were able to negotiate and wanted.
Does the city own the water rights to that property?
Now that is Children's Creek.
Childers,
Hog Creek.
Hog Creek owns the water rights to that property.
They're not, I don't think they're supplying any more meters out there, so they would have to build their own infrastructure out there as far as the well.
So Hog, you could not drill a well out there because Hog Creek would own the water rights, is that correct?
I don't know if that's the case, Chris.
Because I mean, that's old, you know what I'm saying? I mean, back in the 40s, 30s, whatever, you know what I mean?
And that'll
Valley Mills.
have to be a conversation for.
So I can tell you what Waco's been up to. Out in, out off of, you're headed to west. There's a pecan orchard over there. They bought that pecan orchard just for the water rights, just for the water that they pump from the tree, to the pecan orchard, because they are going to start taking the salt water out of the Brazos River. Okay, so they bought those water rights. Are you following me? So how do we know that that's not Waco trying to buy that land just for the water rights and then turn around and sell it again, because that's what they did there, just for the water rights? So then you're going to get however many houses. Are you following me?
If it ever was to be sold, it would go.
Smith Bend is where it is.
It would go to a bid process, and you could accept what you bid. I mean, do your research on
You
it.
have more control than you think you do. And this, and my stance is that me as a councilman, we should sell the airport tomorrow. That is not.
That's not what we're asking.
That is not the stance of the infrastructure whatsoever. The stance is that we need to explore all avenues to be able to pay for these infrastructure repairs when they come due. So,
The match grant.
the match money, yes, ma'am. The match money. So, your options, you're limited to 3 options. You sell the airport or whatever assets you have, you issue a bond, or you raise water rates, tax rates, and then you issue a bond supplement. So, it is up to the citizens on what we do, but at some point, you're going to have to fork over millions of dollars at some point to get this city right. And if that's the end goal for everybody, then we have to explore these avenues. But if it's not, and we just want to limp it across, then we'll just continue doing what we're doing now. But this is a citizen city, this is y'all's community, and everybody should have each and every opportunity to explore options on how the money is spent.
And if I understand it right, all they're asking for right now is for us to be able to explore legally, can we get this restriction removed should we need or want to sell that airport at some point?
That's right. Because I think that there's been a
It has
lot of
nothing to do with,
confusion and
we're selling the
misinformation
airport.
about, and I'm not at all qualified to read or dissect the current deed. And I'm not sure that a lot of people in this room can. So I think that this committee was charged with going out and finding avenues to present to the council. This is one avenue. And so getting clarification about how that deed is read, bringing that opinion back, and then offering options on how to best go about, what the process
This
is
is
to
what
go
I have
about
to deal with.
moving it back to control for the city of Alabama, rather than an interval.
You want me to show you what you send back, those idiots?
Any further discussion or questions?
I've got some motions I'd like to make, if y'all will hear me out. Regarding the airport, I make a motion that representatives of the committee, with the assistance of the city attorney, the mayor, and myself, and other committees, as the other committee determines, be authorized and directed to pursue a waiver or release of the restrictive use covenants contained in the deed to the airport property. And then I have a second motion regarding the bond issue. I make a motion that the council appoints a bond campaign advisory committee consisting of at least 7, but not more than 10 members, one of which shall be the designee of the infrastructure advisory committee, and with the advisory members consisting of the mayor and at least 1, but not more than 2 council members, and that the committee be responsible for making recommendations on bond counsel, financial advisor, and underwriter, and for the planning and conducting of a bond campaign with the assistance of these.
We have a second of one or both of those motions.
Could you repeat your first motion?
Yeah, so the first motion is that representatives of the committee, with the assistance of the city attorney, the mayor, myself, and others, as the committee determines, be authorized and directed to pursue a waiver or release of the restrictive use covenants contained in the deed to the airport property.
And then the second was for the bond advisory
Or bond
committee?
So that all these there's answers for the community moving forward for an overhaul of this infrastructure.
Opens up a can of worms.
Second on one, two motions.
I vote for East.
So with the audit, I mean, isn't that taking the first step of the recommendations of the advisory committee?
That's the first step.
So I would say that we need to explore that option first. Because that would have the list repercussions, if you will, on tax rates and everything.
So no motion on, my first motion for the restrictions on the land, and no motion on advisory committee for bond. Second. Okay.
Give a second to the motion. To everybody on the infrastructure committee, I would just like to thank you all for the hard work and all the hours that y'all put into trying to make this city better.